everything was going great until it simply was not. About a month and a half ago, I started taking Wellbutrin because at the end of December, I was just feeling really, really intense depression, and that depression just made my ADHD significantly worse, and my executive functioning could not function. To get myself to do anything other than the bare minimum was really challenging. Honestly, even getting myself to do the bare minimum that had to be done was challenging, and if I wasn't my husband's caregiver, I probably wouldn't have been getting out of bed, but I had to do things, which is a saving grace. And so I made the decision, after much consideration, to see a psychiatrist, and we together decided that Wellbutrin would be the right fit because it's used for depression, but is also used off-label for ADHD. And it's been a really interesting journey. The first week and a half was a really challenging introduction to the medication. I had a lot of side effects of like headache and nausea and hot flashes, just like weird things that didn't feel great, and I really was hesitant to continue on, but I stuck with it and decided to just see what happens if I stay with this. And one thing that I noticed is in that first month, I had my first period while taking Wellbutrin, and it was 8 days, and I've never had a period that's lasted more than 5 days in my adult life, and I feel very in tune with my body in that sense, especially as someone with endometriosis. Like, that time of the month is pretty challenging for me and really painful, and I was like, okay, that seems weird. And about 4% of people can have that experience, and I tend to have the odd unexpected side effects when I take medications, and that was one indication, but thought, okay, maybe as my body gets used to it, things will improve. And my symptoms got better. No headaches, no nausea, and I started to see the benefits of the medication. About a month in, I would say, maybe a little sooner, I started to just notice that like I was more clear-headed, I was more focused, I was able to start things and finish things. And it wasn't as great as I would hope, like that ability to start things, but it was significantly improved from where it was at prior to taking Wellbutrin, and I was feeling great. I made a video about it. I was feeling so grateful for having made the decision to take it because I was feeling all of the benefits. But unfortunately, that feeling really only lasted about a week, maybe 2 weeks at most, and then everything continued to go back to like what it was. Like, I felt not as blue and depressed as I felt prior, but I definitely felt a lack of motivation, and I didn't feel like I was really seeing the benefit. And then everything took a turn because my period showed up again for the next month, and on day 8, I was still bleeding, and I was like, okay, that's not normal. Like, I know that's off. And then day 10 came around, and I was still bleeding, and then day 12, and I was still bleeding, and I knew something just wasn't right. And then I was in the shower brushing my hair, and so much hair came out. I will insert photo here so you can see. And I just was like, this is not the thing for me. I cannot be in pain for this long. Like, that is the blessing of my experience with my menstrual cycle, is that even though I have endometriosis and my period is the most painful, it thankfully only lasts 5 days at most. And that is much more manageable than 12 days of being in pain. I met with my psychiatrist, and she did a re-eval of the same questions she asked me at the beginning, and it takes like a tally. I had the exact same results as from before I started Wellbutrin as I did a month and a half in, and then you add in the side effects. It just doesn't seem to be the right fit for me. And unfortunately, given my like constitution and also the fact that I need something that helps with depression and ADHD, the options are limited for just like one single drug. So she was like, then you would be experimenting with taking 2 drugs and those side effects and them working together, and that just simply doesn't feel like the path that I want to take, and constantly going through like the side effects of trying new medications. So I have stopped Wellbutrin. I've been off of it for a couple days. Thankfully haven't noticed any side effects of coming off of it because I was already on the lowest dose. And the great thing about my provider is that she also has a lot of knowledge on different herbs and different amino acids and those things that can help with depression and ADHD and just mental health if someone doesn't want to take the pharmaceutical route. And so she's pointed me in the direction that I am going to start, just waiting for clearance from my Chinese medicine doctor that there's no contraindications with the herbs he has me on, to start taking St. John's wort, which is so commonly used for depression. Her recommendation is to start at 300 milligrams once a day and then work up to, if I need it, you can take up to 900 milligrams a day. So I'm gonna start with 300 milligrams once a day in the morning for a week and see if I need to add more. I'm also, and I have been taking saffron 100 milligrams once a day in the morning, and that can also help with overall mood. And the thing with herbs is they can take a little longer, although I am a highly sensitive person, and so I usually can tell pretty quickly if something's going to work for me. And I do feel like the saffron is helping, so I'm going to continue with that in conjunction with the St. John wort. And then she's also recommended a couple other things that I can add in, but my plan is to try everything for at least 2 weeks before I add something in so I really know what is working. But I want to share them should you be in a similar position and you're trying to find an alternative to a pharmaceutical, that this might be helpful. Also things that I've researched that I will be implementing. So in terms of like lifestyle, working out every single day, or at least like the days that you need to be productive in the morning. That is like such a key. And when I am consistent with working out, I definitely feel more clear-headed and I feel like I can like start things. So working out every day is a goal for me, and it not having to be like strenuous. It could just simply be 20 minutes. It could be going for a walk. It could be weightlifting. It could be doing yoga, Pilates, but moving my body. And also if I don't have time, like just doing some jumping jacks, like something to get my body moving. I also have a jump rope, like doing that for 5 minutes, but something to get my body moving in the mornings. Also, as I'm saying this, thinking like before I have to start something like that requires me to have focus, maybe doing the jump rope for 5 minutes or doing some jumping jacks to just get that like dopamine flowing in a positive way before I start. That is something that I want to implement. Eating a high protein breakfast, and I eat a plant-based diet, so that's going to look like eating beans and nuts and those sorts of things, hemp seeds, but getting at least 20 to 30 grams of protein with your breakfast can just help nourish the brain. Also, just having a really strong, structured sleep routine, like going to bed same time, getting up around the same time every single day can be really helpful, which I'm pretty consistent about, but just being a bit more consistent about it, because on the weekends I can be a little more lax if we like want to stay up and watch a movie, and I think that's okay, but knowing that when I am consistent, it can help a lot. Mindfulness is always helpful, so my tea practice, I sit in tea meditation every single morning, is not going anywhere. That has been a saving grace for me and will continue to be, I am sure. And then in terms of like supplements and herbs, before I dive in, I am not a medical provider. Ask your medical provider if you're thinking of adding something in. These are just things that mine recommended to me, and also things that I've researched and read about from different providers on the internet and through different articles that I have found. So they are as followed. Getting omega-3s, super important. And if you are plant-based like me, I get them from algae. And I've read higher EPA than DHA is actually more helpful for those with neurodiverse brains, especially for ADHD. Passion flower can be really good for depression and for ADHD. Haven't tried it, but something I want to explore. Skullcap, which is a nervine, so it works like on the nervous system, so that can just help take care of the nervous system, take you out of fight or flight, which is something that I've been in, but I've been in the freeze of that, the fight, flight, or freeze. I've definitely been in the freeze state, so nervines like skullcap. And then supplements that my provider recommended was L-theanine, which comes from green tea, L-tyrosine, which is like the precursor to dopamine, which can help those with ADHD, and 5-HTP. I've actually only heard of 5-HTP in the context of taking it after you take special mushrooms, because it can help you deplete, is it your serotonin? It helps replenish your serotonin. So I've only heard it in the context of that, but that's something that I might explore if these other things don't help me. And then also taking medicinal mushrooms, specifically cordyceps, are really, really great for giving you a little boost to like get motivated. And I've taken them before, and I like use them in a powder form, so you have to put them in a drink, and sometimes I would forget to do that. So I'm thinking that I will get them in a tincture, which I learned is the most effective way to take mushrooms, because you get all of the goodness when you extrapolate them through making them into a tincture. So cordyceps, but also lion's mane is really good for the brain. Those are things that I'm going to explore. Again, I'm going to start slowly, starting with St. John's wort. I'm already taking saffron and just seeing what works for me. But I feel like this gave me a really great experience to further learn about myself and what works and what doesn't. And I'm glad that I tried Wellbutrin to see if it would work for me. And it was helpful for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. And I saw that benefit, but then the side effects greatly outweighed the benefit, and the benefit wasn't like long, consistent, so it just didn't make sense to stay on it for me. Even at the smallest dose that I was at, which was 75 milligrams, which is literally the smallest dose you can take. But I'm feeling hopeful for using these other modalities and tools and herbs that may help me, and go from there. I'm glad I gave it a try, because now I can say I tried it and I know it doesn't work, and I don't have to wonder. That's been my experience. If you've had a similar experience or not, I would love to hear about it in the comments, and what has helped you if you don't take a pharmaceutical, what has helped you with ADHD and depression, and how do you continue to like stay focused and motivated and happy and hopeful, and especially these trying times. I love ya. I hope this was insightful, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.